Today is the 5th of June, Monday, and we are leaving the mainland of Italy and heading for Sicily. But it's a rather overcast morning. We left before sunrise, about 4 o'clock, and can't really see much of the coastline because it's so hazy. But anyway, we're underway, once again motoring. We did get an opportunity to motor sail a little earlier, but the wind died and that was the end of that. So we expect to get into Sicily later this afternoon. So it is just before 11 o'clock in the morning, and we are approaching the end of mainland Italy, and in the distance, very faintly, you can actually see Sicily. There's a cruise ship as well that's going to cross our bow, and around that corner is actually the Messina Straits. We are not going there, we're going straight on, and looks like we should get into our anchorage around about 3 o'clock. It's 2:30 in the afternoon, and this is our first close-up view of Sicily. And you can see there's obviously a little town or a village here on the mountainside, and then as I come round, you can see a cruise ship is in the anchorage, and we've got to go around that, and our anchorage is in the far corner. There's two areas you can anchor, one to the north, one to the south, but since we have southeasterlies and a southwesterly swell, we're going to go to the southern end, hopefully get some protection there. Today is Tuesday, the 6th of June. We arrived in this anchorage yesterday afternoon. What you're looking at is a place called Taormina, and as we turn around, the other end of the bay is called Naxos. But we arrived in pouring rain, rain showers, thunderstorms and so on. So this morning is the first opportunity to get an idea of what this place is all about. High-rise buildings all the way around. Look a bit shabby, to be honest. It seems like this is the norm around Italy's coasts, these shabby towns with high-rise buildings. And then come all the way around, and this is Naxos. Now, there are a few boats in the anchorage. It's been very rolly as usual, this coast, but we're here. We've had a reasonably good night's sleep, and we're going to go exploring today. And this is a close-up of Taormina. It's actually all up on the hills. It looks beautiful from a distance. So with all the rain overnight, we have desert sand all over our decks again, because this is all dirty rain. It's delightful. And while everybody else in Europe seems to be enjoying nice sunny weather, certainly in Ireland and the UK, we had snow on top of our rain and everything else. So we've decided to do another hop-on, hop-off bus. It was conveniently stopped as we beached the dinghy. So we're busy travelling along the waterfront on our way to the town of Taormina, which you can see in the distance up on the hill. And here's the remnants of the swell that's been coming into the anchorage all night, breaking waves. head off. We've taken the hop-on hop-bus to Taormina, and it's a very quaint town for sure, but it is chock-a-block full of tourists. There's absolutely no ways you can get a photograph without people in them. But these buildings are stunning. Just get some of it here. Taormina dates back to around 396 BC, after Dionysius I of Syracuse destroyed nearby Naxos in 403 BC and formed a new settlement on the nearby Mount Taurus, which gradually grew into the modern-day city of Taormina. After the Italian unification, the 19th century movement which resulted in the Kingdom of Italy in 1861, Taormina began to attract well-off travellers, usually men from Northern Europe, bringing Taormina to international attention. Honestly, everybody that lives in Italy or come to tour must be here, because this is the busiest place we've seen after going all down the southern coast of Italy and now across to Sicily. It's just masses of people. Famous figures included Oscar Wilde's Kaiser Wilhelm II, Philip, Prince of Ulenburg, and the wealthy and well-connected Florence Trevelyan, who is credited with bringing the variety of flora to the island. Town square, all the music going on, town square itself. You can see the amount of people that are here. It's unbelievably busy. The medieval clock tower was built in the 12th century on Greco-Roman foundations and is also a gate to the city. Chiesa di San Giuseppe is a beautiful Baroque-style building built in the second half of the 17th century and dedicated to Saint Joseph. hop on, hop off bus after waiting a little bit, and we've come all the way up to Castella Molla, which is really right at the very top of this mountain, and it's just crazy to be this high up. Beautiful views, but really lovely. This is a view of Mount Etna, and as I pan round, you'll actually see the coastline as well. It's absolutely stunning views from up here, but we are so high up. We're just going to sit down and have a bite to eat. We're having pizza. Chiesa San Nicola was rebuilt between 1934 and 1935 on the site of the original 16th century church, from which the side portal and the arch of the choir have been reassembled, as well as the altars and the pulpit in inlaid walnut, dating back to the 18th century. Our return journey took us through all the little villages lining the coast north of where we were anchored, including Leto Yanni, Mazzaro and Isola Bella, all providing beautiful seascapes and countryside views as well, before returning to Naxos. Our visit to Taormina had been a day of wonder in more ways than one, and all that was left was to endure another night in a very rolly anchorage. Today is the 6th of June, and after 2 nights in the Naxos anchorage, which was extremely uncomfortable, very rolly, but we did have a lovely day yesterday touring Taormina and Castle Mallow, which was fabulous. But anyway, we were up early this morning. We had planned to leave around about 8, but we were both up at 6, so we left. And this is our approach coming into Syracuse. Very interesting shoreline, coastal area. And as you come round, you'll see in the distance, that is actually a cruise ship behind all the buildings, and that's the anchorage we're going to go into. So hopefully we'll have much more protected conditions here, and it looks like we'll be staying slightly longer than we expected because there's bad weather approaching from the west, so we're going to have to just stay hunkered down, which would be our first time in Italy. Not too bad considering we were hunkered down for 9 days out of 3 weeks in Greece, but we're looking forward to exploring somewhere new. Here's another picture of the cruise ship that's behind all the buildings. Looks so odd, but obviously a very popular area as well. So everywhere we've been along the Italian coast and now the Sicilian coast, we've seen towns that are basically high-rise or multi-dwelling buildings all on top of each other, which seems to be the norm. We hadn't realized. This one looks a little bit better maintained than what we've seen in the past, so interesting. They almost have a nice sea view though, that's for sure. So it's just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and well, it's actually closer to 3, and we are anchored in Syracuse, and this is the anchorage. It's a huge bay. Come around, you can see the cruise ship all the way around. And the land is definitely flatter here. The whole landscape is flatter, not mountainous at all. Might be mountains in the distance, but this goes all the way around, pretty flat. But the good news is it's protected. So we are expecting winds out of the west, which is the direction I'm pointing the camera at now. So no boats in front of us, and when we turn around, we should be at the front, hopefully getting the best protection we can. After we dinghied ashore, we were delighted to find a very friendly and welcoming marina manager who informed us we could leave our dinghy at the marina. What a change from Greece. Before starting our explorations, we found a delightful little cafe on one of the back streets to enjoy a morning coffee and a baked delight. Fueled on caffeine and sugar, we then set off in the direction of the Basilica, passing some beautiful buildings as we meandered through the narrow streets, including this tiny chapel. So yesterday we arrived in Syracuse, and this afternoon we're just exploring a little bit on our way to the main Basilica, but this is the square that we've come across, and Basilica is somewhere on the square. This is the other side of the square. Really lovely buildings here, and we found the Basilica. It's absolutely stunning. Zoom in so you can see some of the architecture. So this is a close-up as we come around the corner, and you can see the extent of it. It's absolutely huge, beautiful. This is the front of the Basilica. I'm just going to zoom in so you can actually see the detail. It's absolutely fabulous. This is a Greek Doric temple with 6 columns on the short sides and 14 on the long sides, dedicated to the goddess Athena. So this is the interior of the Basilica, and that's the door we came through. As I pan round, able to see the altar. However, an archaeological excavation in 1907 to 1910 showed that the Greek temple had been built on even older foundations. This uncovered a wealth of pre-Hellenic artifacts. The present cathedral was constructed in the 7th century, incorporating the Doric columns of the original temple, which we could see inside and out. The interior of the church had numerous naves and chapels. There was one, however, where we were not permitted to take photographs, but was exquisite, including well-preserved frescoes on the domed ceiling. This is another section. The craftsmanship in here is just amazing. This is a view from the other side of the piazza. All these beautiful buildings. Come around slowly. And here we go. Wandering around the back streets and came out onto the eastern side of the anchorage that we went into, and this is a close-up. It's actually a beach. People are on the beach, if you can call it a beach, but anyway, and Just at the end of this pier is the castle, and that's where we came into our anchorage. So this is the fort we could see as we came into the anchorage yesterday. Obviously a very popular destination with the amount of people that are here, and we're going to go have a look as well. So this is another area. We walked along the whole waterfront, and you come round, Porpoise anchored out in the distance, and here is the tiniest little beach. People are swimming and it absolutely stinks of sewage. Gross. Beach, and you walk into this green space, all these trees, old as the hills, mango trees. Here we go. This 2,700-year-old city, with its rich Greek and Roman history, culture and architecture, is also the birthplace and home of the mathematician and engineer Archimedes, a statue of whom stands near the marina and town harbour. Today is Friday the 9th of June. It's nearly 5 o'clock in the evening. In fact, it's after 5. It's 25 past 5. And we've come ashore after a bouncy afternoon in the anchorage, but we did have an afternoon nap. But we've come ashore to look at a few more sites and have dinner. And this is the Fountain of Diana. Very zoom in so you can see the craftsmanship. The other end of the fountain, the other side. The sculpture depicts the nymph Arethusa, protected by her mother Diana, goddess of the hunt, as she flees from the god Alpheus. The Temple of Apollo is considered one of the most important ancient Greek monuments on Ortichio Island and dates back to the 6th century BC. The temple underwent several transformations over the centuries, until it was eventually incorporated into a 16th century Spanish barracks and private homes, before the remains were rediscovered and excavated in 1890. Today is Sunday the 11th of June, and we've changed our plans somewhat, in fact rather drastically. Instead of trying to go west along the southern coast of Sicily, we are heading back to Taormina, and we're going to go through the Messina Straits. And that's primarily because we've been boxed in with the weather trying to get along the southern coast of Sicily. So once we get through the Messina Straits, we'll head north along the western coast of Italy, and from there hop over to Sardinia or Corsica, depending on which way the winds take us. So yeah, change of plan. The Messina Straits was something we didn't particularly want to do, but it's the better option, all things considered, based on the weather that's forecast sort of as far as we can see, which is just not going to be good, with all sorts of lows forming between Tripoli and Sicily, and just a nightmare of weather patterns. So yeah, let's hopefully we'll spend a night in Taormina, and we either go through tomorrow, depending on what the weather forecast looks like, or the day after. So we'll see. So it's just before 5 o'clock in the evening, and we've returned to Naxos Bay and anchored this time to the north, just off the city of Taormina. And it's actually beautiful views from here. We're right under the cliffs, but it is party central. Chock-a-block full of yachts that weren't here last time, and jet skis, motorboats, you name it. People are here churning up the water, so it's not very calm. We are bouncing around, and hopefully we don't bounce around all night. That would be the bonus. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of June. We are heading north, leaving Sicily. That is Mount Etna in the background. And we spent the last 2 nights in the anchorage at the foot of Taormina. All things considered, it was actually very calm and quiet overnight, so at least we got a good night's sleep. But as we head north, we're actually in a bit of a convoy. I don't know if you'll be able to see the other yachts, but we're all heading through the Messina Strait today. And from there we'll head up the coast, the west coast of Italy, and hopefully get further north and out of this cluster of weather that we've been experiencing. So this is the other side of Taormina that we've visited. And if I zoom in, right on the top there, you can see Castel Mollo. It was all very, very interesting, must admit, a very enjoyable day. And as I come round, you'll see another one of the little villages and the houses coming down the side of the mountain. As we progress up the straits, it becomes a little bit of an obstacle course. We've got fishing buoys to avoid, little fishing boats to avoid. So out there, of course, you've got the tankers. Oops, where are they? There's the tankers, and then other sailing boats, yachts, and including this lovely one, which has all these sails up now. He's coming down the straits, and of course we have a northeasterly wind that wasn't predicted. And it's more than 10 knots on the nose. So even waiting for today, that was supposed to be an absolutely calm day to come up the straits, they didn't even get that forecast right. Right up until this morning it wasn't correct. There's a bit more of the scenery of Sicily, very mountainous, but also very picturesque. It seems a very densely populated island, especially along the coastline, which would make sense. I think inland is just mountains. There's all the way up, as far as the eye can see, there's buildings, homes. So we're more than halfway up the Messina Strait. We still have a gaggle of yachts heading in the same direction, and you can see it's narrowing. We have the mainland of Italy on the east side and Sicily on the west side. We're also picking up some current now, which is in our favor, so hopefully we'll be out of this in the next hour or two. So this is the town of Messina, and as you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit, it's very industrial. There is a cruise ship in here today. I'm not quite sure what they go and see up here. Maybe these are all the folks that have been bussed down the coast to where we were in Taormina, not sure. So we're almost out the Messina Strait, but unfortunately we never had any help from a current. In fact, we had it against us. We've been crawling along for the last 2 hours at anything from 3.5 knots to 4.5 knots, and we've got an hour to go, and only now are we getting a little bit of a help up to 5 knots. We did have a period of 6 to 7 knots actually, didn't even last 10 minutes. But the purpose of this video is to show you these sword fishing fishing boats. As you can see, those are people perched at the top of the mast, trying to obviously spot the fish from a height. And if I zoom round, there's another one to our starboard side. He's a little bit further away, but you can sort of see the blob at the top of the mast, and that's people sitting up there. So we're about to exit the Messina Straits, only now getting a bit of a current to help us, but this is a view of the Italian mainland side. I don't know if it's going to be too grainy, but very picturesque, very green, mountainous, and nice little villages along the coastline. Certainly seems prettier than the Sicilian side with the buildings and such. So we're about to exit the Messina Straits. We've eventually got through it, crawling along, but we still did it an average of 5 knots, which gets us out around about 12:30. We do have wind, as you can hear. We're just hoping that it's a direction that we can at least have some motor sailing to get our hours up to get to where we want to go tonight. This is another sword fishing boat. You can see the people up at the top of the mast, and as I pan round, you'll see the beach. Quite a lot of people on the beach, and the reason for that, we understand, is there's a swimming contest across this narrowest part of the strait. So we're trying to get through here before the contest starts, because we've been advised to stay away, and we don't want to sit and wait for all these swimmers to come past the front of us. So we've put out the head sail, and we're doing in excess of about 7.5 knots. Hopefully we can keep this up and get going here.